Hi, good morning, everyone. We're very excited that you chose to come and spend a little time with us today. My name is Katie Plunkett. This is Teresa Amasia, and we are instructional technology resource teachers at the Charlottesville City Schools District. And earlier, when we had put in our proposal, our director of technology was actually going to be able to come, but unfortunately she had a conflict, Maria Lewis. So she sends her regards and has sent us with some great tools and exciting things to show you from Google today.
If you have any questions for our director of technology, you feel free to ask us, and we'll pass it along and get the answer back to you.
Yeah. So what can Google do for you? This is a new one that we found.
And if you haven't hooked to our presentation, the link is down there. You can just type it in, deliver.com/2e6zb.
Google search is incredibly powerful. You can search for text across the internet, most of human knowledge, images, books, videos. But we'd realized there was an important part of the search experience that we overlooked.
Our task as designers is to get our users the information they're looking for as quickly and as beautifully as possible. But until now, we couldn't always give users what they're looking for, because sometimes they're not looking at all.
My wife and I have a puppy with so much energy that we walk her 5 times a day, and she sniffs around every nook and cranny. This is how she gets information about her world.
Photo, auditory, olfactory, sensory convergence is a phenomenon that's been promised in science fiction for decades.
We're excited to announce Google Knows Beta, our flagship olfactory knowledge feature enabling users to search for smells.
Our mobile aroma indexing program has been able to amass a 15 million centibyte database of smells from around the world.
With an elegant integration into our existing knowledge panels, the Google Knows Beta Smell button seamlessly connects scent to search.
By intersecting photons with infrasound waves, Google Knows Beta temporarily aligns molecules to emulate a particular scent.
Google Knows Beta works on nearly all desktops, laptops, and quite a few mobile devices. In the fast-paced world that we live in, we don't always have time to stop and smell the roses. Now, with Google Knows Beta, the roses are just a click away.
If you have a question like, what does a new car smell like? Who knows the answer?
Google knows.
What does a ghost smell like?
Google knows.
What does the inside of an Egyptian tomb smell like?
Google knows.
Google knows.
Google knows. Beta.
So, new things from Google. That was actually a Google April Fool's joke that they put out.
Sorry
so
for those of you who are smelling your computers right now.
But it just goes to show that Google's constantly reinventing the ways that we use technology as well as ways that we can use it with our students. So that's what we're hoping that you can gain from our session today. So our outline for today, we're going to run through the Google Apps pretty quickly, kind of hit what they are, and we've also found some classroom examples, things that we've used with our own teachers and students in our district, and things that teachers have shared with us. We also have some cool kind of Google Neato, super neato features to share. We're going to hit some of the Chrome Web Labs and experiments, which if you haven't been into those, they're incredible. And then hopefully have a little bit of time for question and answer, and we have a share form at the end that hopefully, if you have a great resource or a question or something to ask, that you could fill that in and send that to us as well. So just to go with Docs. First of all, Docs, collaborative word processing. We have some instructional uses within the classroom, so collaborative note-taking is a great way to have your students this was a KWL chart that I did with a class about planets. And so students went through and on the left side, put in everything they knew, just like we do on our piece of butcher paper that we're used to using. But the great thing about this was, especially this second one right here, this was a child who never really spoke at all in the class. She was very, very quiet, did not participate very much and raise her hand, that kind of thing, and tons of stuff all just sitting there at her computer typing it all in. And so then, our KWL chart just allows everybody to kind of go through and add info. Our jigsaw activity, this was one that we did on astronomers, and the students were each assigned an astronomer. So Same idea, they went through, they had their astronomer. We actually had YouTube videos that they watched, and that's where they got their notes in the middle there, and then they used the research tool to actually add their picture in, which was really kind of an easy, nice feature. Multimedia note-taking. Our high school students have been doing this, especially in social studies, and it's great because the teacher calls it class scribes. Basically, he assigns 3 students to take notes per class, and 2 of the students are actually taking down notes from the lecture, and 1 of the students is looking for videos, websites, things that have to do with all the topics that he's sharing. And so then they go back and add that stuff in, and as you can see on the right, he can go back and kind of check and see what they're adding in and have a full set of class notes so that if a student's not there or absent, very easy to share those out. And then digital worksheets. This was just a simple worksheet that we had with children using Google Moon, going through and looking at the Apollo missions in Google Moon. So they went through and then they were taking those and putting it onto Time Glider, which is an interactive timeline. So professional uses, lesson planning, meeting minutes. This is something that our team uses all the time with our tech department. So we sit down once a month and go through, and there's an agenda set. Very simple to share out that agenda the week before so people can add in their info. And then go back through and add your notes in as you're having the meeting. And finally, these are collaborative notes that our whole team plus a group of teachers took at our Google Summit that we had in Charlottesville back in March. And it's a great way to share out our notes and everybody kind of go through and take notes in sessions that you can't go to. So also event planning, newsletters, just simple things you're probably doing in your classroom all the time that you can turn around and take and use with Docs.
Okay, Google presentations, I've actually seen it referred to as Google Slides as well. Aside from the obvious use of what we're using right now, there are instructional uses. The general research project, we all have done it, but with Google Slides, it becomes collaborative. So this was a project that I did for 4th grade on geography and Hurricane Sandy and all of that happened on the East Coast. And each student was able to make their own slide all at the same time. They didn't have to wait until that child was done with the computer for them to get the presentation. Then they work on their slide. Everyone was working at the same time. It becomes efficient because of that collaborative aspect. I have seen students do introductions of themselves at the beginning of the school year. So they'll work on a little presentation to give to the class where each student will be able to introduce themselves to their class. Professional uses, presenting at a conference just like right now. I also have, let me just do the other one. Oh, that was a blogger session that Katie and I did together. Back to school night is great for back to school night because parents, as they come in, they can, just like you guys access this presentation right now, they can come in and get it on their phones and they can look through things and you can embed forms, which we're going to get to. This was one that, a session that I did for parents about using iPads at home. Okay, so forms, we all know that it's great for making quizzes, but there are a lot of different uses for using forms. Some instructional uses, starter or exit tickets. Exit tickets are a great way to get an idea of how your students are doing on that lesson. When you're using a Google form, it's that much easier to take a look at their responses after you're done. Learning reflection is also a good way to do that. This is an interest survey and a get to know your students form that you can use at the beginning of the school year. Data collection. Click on the collection. So Katie's going to talk about the result of this in a second, but this is a weather keeper from 2nd grade where the students were working on weather observations. So I created this form, and they were able to put in all of the information of the weather that day. And when Katie gets back up here, she'll show you the result of that and why we were doing this. And group assessments, quizzes, and tests, those are pretty obvious ways to use forms right away in your classroom. Professional uses, gathering parent contact info. When you have an open house, have a computer open with the form open. Get all of your parents, so just get rid of that paper aspect. You can't read what they wrote anyway. So just have them type in their contact information in a form. Keeping track of parent communications, how many times have you called home and then just forgot that you did? And then later your principal is asking, and you've only talked to this child's parent once, but you know for a fact that you did it more than once. Parent contacts, write down, very, very easy to fill this in and very quick, and then you have that information for when you have to talk to the parents again or about the student again. Same kind of thing, student behavior data collection. Have a form that says what that child did and how many times they did it, and then you have all that data in one place. Skill assessments. This was actually for a pre-K teacher. So those of you thinking like, oh, well, this is for high school or this is just for middle school. This is a pre-K teacher that used this form. She had basically 2 boxes, and she picked up a piece of paper with a word on it, and the child had to say that word. Now, she had been taking pages and pages and pages of data, writing it down, and then taking the data and then putting it in a spreadsheet online. What we set up for her is this form, and then she was able to do this with every assessment that she had, student name, date, and then just mark what words they got correct. And she actually had this loaded on your iPad. So those of you who I'm looking and you have your iPads today, I'm going to say it's a lot easier to make a form on a computer, but once it's made, load that form on your iPad, have a little link on your home screen, and then you have this form right away that you can walk around and be mobile when you're using that form. Oh, wait, go back one. Okay, the other ones on here, the last one is administrator walkthrough, so turning your electronic walk, your e-walks, into this digital form rather than sitting in the back of the room and writing down all of that information. You can use a form and then immediately share it with your teacher, or don't share it. I guess that's your prerogative. But you can share it with your teacher very quickly, and you don't have to make several copies of it. Obviously, for the legal reasons, you're probably going to still print it out like a regular form, but your informal observations, great to use a Google form for that.
So spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are linking those forms and taking all that data that Teresa was talking about that you put in and actually being able to do something with it, whether it's with students. So, for example, these are the results of the weather form that the students use. They put it all in with forms, but then you have your different data types. Different data types and charts at the bottom. So when Teresa did this, she worked with the students. They had talked about charting and graphing, and the students actually did it with pencil and paper, and then went in and compared their charts and bar graphs to what was actually coming out of the Google form and the spreadsheet. Collaborative data collection and analysis, so sending students out with these forms to survey or to go through and maybe they're doing a science experiment and they're going through and collecting data in that way. So they can all be on the form having a different device putting in information at the same time. It's not just a one-person type thing. The response data from starters and exit tickets, this was great for the class that I worked with. We were doing the astronomy unit. And being able to know right away if those students knew the answers to the starters before we went over them so that we knew exactly and gave them immediate feedback, which was great for the students. We even had students who would go through and actually do the starter a second time because they wanted to get everything right as they went across, because we would show them the spreadsheet and show them how they were doing. Lots of formulas and functions that are available in spreadsheets, and that's a great thing to show your students. Professional uses, gradebook or classroom budget. We used it to organize a big field trip to Washington, D.C. this year. So going through, and everybody in the 6th grade goes on this trip, so you know exactly who's brought their money in, who's coming to chaperone, who can't go, all of that kind of thing. So you're able to easily be looking at it all together at the same time and be on the same page. And then the yearly pacing guide. Our teachers are currently working on this summertime curriculum work, going through, and I thought this was a great example of being able to go through and actually have that pacing guide, because sometimes it has to change. And if you make the change once here, it's much easier than making it on paper and photocopying it or emailing it out. But everybody has access to the yearly pacing guide and plan.
Google Drawing, I think, is probably the one app that people don't use that much of the Google apps. But honestly, it's fantastic for science, and it's fantastic for math, and it's fantastic for social studies. It's great for language arts. It's great for all subjects. Here are some instructional uses of drawing, which basically is a blank canvas, and you can add text, you can add pictures. This was a lesson that I did with the 4th grade class. They had to take objects and take a picture of it using the webcam on the computer, and then use the draw tools. You guys can't see it because it's view only, but use the draw tools, the arrows, to draw perpendicular lines, draw parallel lines in their own reality. So it really puts themselves in the lesson, so it really engages them in that sense. Please mind the pictures, my goodness. Labeling parts of anything, all of you science teachers out there, labeling on a piece of paper is fine, but this, when you have it as a Google drawing, they can drag those labels over and match different parts. Anything that you can find a picture of, you can label it. So this is parts of a plant. This is a 1st grade lesson. Character introduction. Anything that they would draw on paper, they can do in Google Drawing. An information web. I forget what this one was. Oh, this is an example I actually found. But creating any kind of organizer is what you're going to use drawing with. So this is an organizer, definition, illustration, non-definition, synonyms for the word spawn. And we're going to go over this when we do the super neato tricks. But inserting pictures is super easy to do in drawing. For professional uses, creating a flyer or poster, very easy to do. This is a flyer that I made for my teachers, how to move their files before summertime. Idea webbing, same how you would use it professionally, same how you would teach it. Another really cool way to use drawing is room planning. When you get back to school in August and September, and you have your seating chart, and it's always there, and all you have to do is move those boxes around, and if you double-click, again, you can't do it. I'm sorry, we made these view only so you guys couldn't mess with our stuff. All you have to do is just double-click on that box and just type the child's name in or type the initials in, and it's that easy to do a seating chart. And then you can display that on your screen. As soon as they walk in, you have the seating chart, and find your name, find your desk. So drawing's super easy to use.
All right, so sites, building your own websites. We've done, I teach at a 5th, 6th grade school mainly, that's who I support, and we have really tried to use a lot of the flipped classroom aspects. So taking things like the forms with YouTube videos and putting them all together on a Google site, much easier for our students to access. So instructional uses, we're really hoping to kind of work towards having the students have a student portfolio this year. We don't have their accounts turned on yet, so we're really hoping to get their accounts turned on this fall. And this would be, obviously, as we all know, a great way for them to have learning reflection and just be able to actually have a place to house their own products and things that they're working on all the time. So the flipped classroom with the using forms and videos, this is just kind of a quick little example just to show. This was in a reading class, and the teacher found a video of vocabulary elements of the story, and you can see the form right next to it. So the students could sit at a station. She does this through stations in her classroom. They watch the video, then they go in, complete the form. She is working at another table with another group of students, but she knows exactly what it is they've been doing when they're at that station, because it was like a 15-minute station, so it's plenty of time for them to get off task, but for the most part, they stayed on task, were able to go right back through and check to see, she was able to check to see how they did.
Yeah, for those of you who have students that have the internet at home, the flipped classroom is so much easier to do with a Google site.
Yes.
Especially, you have them do all of the, it's like top-ending or front-loading, not top-ending, what does that mean? Front-loading their education, and then when they come in, the idea is you can help individual students. So have them learn outside of class, and we don't have, obviously all of our students don't have the means to do this. So our teachers tend to flip their classroom within their classroom, so they'll have that front loading.
And this, just to tag along with that, she did this at the station, and the next station was to come to her table to see her, and they reviewed
There you
this.
go.
So it was very easy for her to do follow-up and support with those students that needed it. Also, just shared resources. We're going to show you a site in a few minutes where the grade science team keeps all of their shared resources, and that's the place that the students know to go every day for their starter, for their work, for anything that they're working on. They check the website every day. Also a great use for when students are absent. Professional uses, a class website. So here's that 6th grade science site. So it has a calendar. You can see the units here down the side. If you go to, we go to the Energy Unit and Genius Hour tab. Right there, yeah. So, you know, you can see Thursday review. There, we had 2 class periods that were using this. They had you know, parts of an atom review. There was a starter that they did, but then we also embedded things like Quizlet games and a variety of different things so that students were constantly, you know, we know they're multitasking. We multitask. You know, we're very good at it, but in a way that we want them to be multitasking on something that is with our content and curriculum, this is an easy way to do that. So there's plenty of things for them to do when somebody says, I'm done. No, you're not done. There's plenty of things for you to go back and review, do. We embedded our YouTube playlist. They love that. So, you know, you're never done. There's always plenty for you to do right here. And they knew that, and they would, you know, once they kind of got the hang of that, it was very easy for them to find what they needed. And this was with 5th and 6th graders. So 6th grade reading, this was the teacher that used it as a station, basically. And I know she's got big plans for this site. She just put this up in March. So this was just after our Google Summit. A lot of these ideas kind of came out of that. So she's got, you know, her class organized. And then on the assignments tab is where she would keep, she told the students they had to do 3 assignments a week. And this is where she would put things like her story elements and, you know, the different tasks and things that she was teaching with reading for that week. A club website or a department site. We finally got our department heads to get together and put together shared resources in a department site. So 6th grade reading, you know, here was their calendar. You can see down the side they had all their lesson plans, these are assessments and things. They had forms and, you know, kind of kept it all together in a file cabinet. And that's the nice part about the site is you have different templates that you can make for each page. So I think there are 5 different ones that you can choose from depending on how you're going to use that page within your site. So she had put together, the department chair put this together, but then shared it out with everybody in the department, so everybody was putting their resources in together.
All right,
All right.
what you've all been waiting for.
Super neato tricks, non-obvious features of apps and the Chrome browser.
So those of you using iPads today and any other kind, I don't really see too many other mobile, maybe not have an iPad? Kindles out there? Okay. Chromebooks, okay. Those of you using your iPads, not all of these are going to be easy to do. Google, a lot of stuff is really great to view the Google apps and view your presentations and your forms on any kind of mobile device, but building it really is better to use a full computer. Those of you on your Macs, if you have the Chrome browser, you're going to want to use that to go through the rest of this presentation. And those of you who are on Chromebooks, great.
All right, so the first thing we have is using templates. So a lot of times I think when we are working on different things, we forget that there are lots of different templates out there that are already created for us. And they're very simple for us to use. So in the same format, you have to be logged into your Google account, but you can go to actually just the Docs template page and just go through and search whatever you would like for in here. They have, you know, all different categories. This is in our, let me get out of our
our
public
district
domain.
has their own set. You can see it only has one, so
Yeah,
we just kind of
what's
started
in it,
on that.
so-
We have our own set
This is a
of
public
templates,
template.
but then public templates, there's thousands upon thousands.
Yeah, and they're delineated by the type here, so depending on what app you're using, and by the category. So you can kind of go through. It's kind of nice, too, just to go through and search the templates and see, depending on what you're looking for. Here are some that we thought were interesting and maybe kind of helpful. When you open up, like this is an essay grading rubric, It opens up here. It tells you kind of what the ratings are. It allows you to either use the template or just go back and browse the gallery again if it's not what you're looking for. And when you are using the template, then it opens it up in an editable form for you to begin using right then, saves it directly to your drive, and you have it ready to share with anybody in your department or your school. Daily behavior, I thought this was a good one. We have a lot of children that carry behavior contracts around from teacher to teacher to kind of keep them on track, see how they're doing. This was a great way to take that paper away because a lot of times by the time they've gotten to the end of the day, they've lost the paper, this, that, and the other. So sitting down and filling out this simple form and going through, maybe it goes to your guidance counselor, but it has, you can make it even more simple than this, but sending it home to the parents, all of that, it makes it very easy to kind of go through and use. Same with this one. This is another example just of a point system. So like here's a specific one. If a child, did they follow directions? Did they participate? Depending on what it is that they're using and working on. Very simple way to get away from that paper. I like this for daily reading logs. I was a reading teacher for a long time, and I was always interested in what the students were reading, and this was a great way to have them share, exactly what they're working on, the genre, and kind of what it is that where you are in your book and that type of thing. I've seen a teacher take this actually and have it for summertime. So she has a website and she's put up a form on the website and then shared the spreadsheet with the students so that if the kids are reading a good book this summer, they can fill out the form and the other kids can go and see what the title and the author are. But I thought that was a great use to kind of extend just the basic reading log, but extend it some so that everybody could see it. This was a fun one. This is a story starter.
I love it.
So this looks like it was 7th, 8th grade language arts. So create a story about this picture. There are lots of things that kids could come up with. So you just put your picture in there. You've got your directions, and very simple. And when you do use these templates, you can then edit them yourself. So if you wanted to change the picture to something else or change the directions for maybe younger students, that's fine. So some professional uses for student info. This is kind of another just student information for, maybe probably right at the beginning of the school year. I used to do this with a note card, so this takes away that note card, and you don't have the little box and flip through it. You've got the form right there in the spreadsheet, and it delineates it by class period. So if you have numerous class periods, it's much easier to keep up with all that info. Lesson plans, a weekly lesson plan. A collab teacher, if you're working together with somebody, this is a great way to make sure that, like Teresa and I working on this presentation, just a great way to be able to collaborate back and forth and make sure that we're both on the same page. And then finally, a communication log. This is great. Actually, if you click on Use the Template, you can go through and see this goes through numerous pages of it's a lot more detailed than what's right here at the beginning, but it's a log to parents and student communication with teachers. So something you could use at a parent-teacher conference, something like that, that would make it a little bit more helpful and useful for you.
Okay. All right, so we're going to break it down by app. We're starting with Docs, which is the most basic kind of app to use here. There are some things that aren't very obvious that you can do with Docs. Like obviously, you can type, and you can see the other person typing when you're logged in to the same document. But there's a lot of stuff that you can use as a teacher as well. One of them is adding comments. So I used to teach 7th grade language arts, and they would turn in their creative writing, or they would turn in their research paper, and I would write in green pen. I'd always use green. Notes all the way down the side, and then I'd run out of room, so I'd have to write on the back of the page. With Docs, you can add comments really easily, actually. So here is an example. Actually, this is a real-life example I used in 2011 when I was showing them how to write a tall tale. So let's say this was your student, and you really liked how they used dialogue. You can highlight whatever you want in a document. Click Insert, Comment. It's going to look a little bit different. I have it set as comment only right now, but it's going to look a little bit different. And then on the side, you get a little dialogue box. Love your use of dialogue. And now that comment is out of the way on the side of the paper, of the digital paper, and you can see right away that your teacher made a comment there. So when your student logs back into their essay or whatever it was, they can look, and if they just click on what is highlighted, you can see that there's a comment right there. If you guys want to try commenting on something, you can go ahead and do that. Also on the side, so when your student logs back in, they can reply to your comment, and they can resolve, which puts the comment back off of the screen. So using comments is a very quick way to give response to your students. The other, oh my goodness gracious. Here we go. The research tool. Katie briefly mentioned this. I'm going to show you where this is. Uh-oh. I realize that we made this view only, but I can't. Bear with me.
While she's doing that, basically the research tool is really a nice feature. We've used it with our students because you can pull in anything with pictures. It pulls scholarly articles. It pulls a variety of different things, and it's really nice because it footnotes it for you. Mm-hmm. So here we go. She's ready. She's going to
Okay, so for the research tool, let's say they're writing a paper. Here's a paper about dodgeball. You're writing a paper about dodgeball and its victims. You get to a part in your paper where you have to talk about when the history of dodgeball, when it was invented. I don't actually know the answer to that. Instead of going over to the library, getting a book, or instead of going out to a different tab or a different window, you can actually do research right in your document. You would go to Tools, Research, and then you get a little side panel over here where you can search everything or just images, scholarly articles, quotes, and dictionary. So let's see, I want dodgeball history. And if I click enter, oh look, right here, history of dodgeball, beautiful. You can preview the article. You can click on it and it actually opens a new link for you. So let's say this is taking a little while. This may not be the most scholarly website, gomammoth.co.uk. But let's say you did find a good website here. I'm going to pretend like I read that. And I read that dodgeball was invented. Oh, look, I can see a little preview here. Played in Africa over 200 years ago, but instead of the fun, okay, Africa over 200 years ago. So now, I just wrote down that note, and I don't know about you guys, but I hate the idea of trying to write out a whole citation. Now that I know I use this, all I have to do is click Cite. It puts a footnote next to what I just typed and puts a footnote down at the bottom with citation. Oh, look at it. Oohs and ahs. Fireworks here. You can also click this little down arrow and change your citation format. For those of you who prefer APA, you can change it to APA, and it'll do the citation. Look, you can see, oh, people are adding stuff here. The other cool thing, let's say I wanted to get a picture of dodgeball being played. You can also use the research tool. So if I just clicked dodgeball, if I type dodgeball, hit return, you can change the Google everything to images. And here's a bunch of stuff even from that movie. But the problem I encounter here is that when you're just searching Google, it's not necessarily copyright free. When you click the down arrow now, filter images by usage rights, change it to free to use, share, or modify, and then you can for sure know that you're not breaking any copyright law. So here's a picture. This one looks good. I'm just going to click and drag. There's my picture, beautiful, and it footnotes it. So you have a citation for where that picture was located. Looking at dictionary, you can pull in a dictionary definition if you wanted to, change it to a different language. The cool one is Scholar because it does have published, scientific and educational and any kind of journal article. And sometimes it takes you out to the PDF. This one is actually not about the game Dodgeball, so I couldn't use it today. But then you can cite it as a footnote or insert the, I actually never pressed this button, insert. Oh, it inserts the citation right there. So that is a great way to use the research tool. The other way to use a research tool is in presentations. So let's say they're doing, again, the same kind of thing. They did their research paper already. Now they're making a presentation to give to the class. Using the research tool, if you click Tool, Research in that presentation, and I want a picture of a dodgeball, same kind of thing. Use the images pull down, change it to be free to use. I want to pull in this picture, and you can format things how you need to. The other cool thing that you can have in the research tool in presentation that isn't necessarily in Docs is you can search videos. So you can pull down, here's videos off of YouTube, which because it's streaming and your presentation is streaming, someone deleting that. Who was that? Anonymous Wolf. So let's say I have this clip that I wanted to put in my presentation. All you have to do is drag it over, and because it's streaming from YouTube, when you embed it into your presentation, they click it to get to the original site. It takes you out to YouTube if you want to see where that video is from. Say it one more time. It does. It does. Just like earlier when we showed the Google Knows video, that was embedded in the same way. So it does embed. It plays within the presentation. But you can always click that little YouTube link if you want to see where it's from. Katie?
All right, so forms. One of the things about forms, we've used forms a lot. We've showed you some of the ones that we've used, but one of the things we've been waiting for a long time is to be able to add images to forms. And in early May, Google released the new form where you can add images. So I made this starter. This was a starter I'd already kind of used, but and I've already put my picture in here. So when the lighted part of the moon appears, be getting smaller the moon is, and kind of I gave a little help text here, view the image below. And so that was my first question. Now I have what planet is shown in the image below. So what I can do is I can either go to Add Item here, or I can go to Insert. And if I do Insert Image, the nice thing about the image is it comes in as a separate object, and then I can drag the object around. So let's say, I can't remember. If I go to my insert of the image, my choices are, okay. I can, it's nice because you can upload it, you can do all of these, you can grab it from Drive. I just want to search it, so it opens up that nice image search, and maybe I'm going to search for Mars.
Notice they are labeled for commercial reuse and modification.
And then I'm just going to click here and say select. And it's going to come in quite large. It gives me the opportunity to add my image. But if I click on it, I'm going to get my little blue, I'm going to get my little, oh, I've got it in there twice, sorry. If I click on it, then I'm going to get little blue arrows here that I can go and shrink it and make it smaller, which is nice. So I can make it, much smaller. Because I'm asking the kids a question about, what planet is this, I'm not going to put any of the title and hover text in. I can go back and change the image if it's not what I want, center it. And then when I click done, when I click done, then maybe I decide I want to drag it below. And you can move it around kind of wherever you want to. So, and then of course it gives you the same features here where you can delete it if you want to change it, that type of thing. So adding images, 2 different ways, insert or from the add item in form. Time and date as questions. So parent-teacher conferences, maybe you're going to put this up on your website and ask the parents what time they want to come in. You can go through, set up your form just like you would with name and student, and then when you go to actually insert your next question, you just insert it as a date or time. Again, you can do the same thing from insert right up here at the top. And when you do the insert date, you can give them the month, the day, all of that. And again, you want to make it a required question because it's the type of thing that you actually need to know. Same thing with the time as well. Parent-teacher conference is always kind of an easy way to get your parents in there, but then you've got your form as well. Assignment tracker. This was an idea that I actually found and I thought was really kind of neat, where the teacher went through and actually had it where students could send their assignments to her. And she set this up at the beginning of the school year and was able to have it, she just set the form up with name, their class period, what the assignment name was, and they could link it here, add any notes they wanted, and click submit. And then the spreadsheet came in where it had every child's name, but because it's in spreadsheet, you can sort it, so you can get all of Katie's assignments and all of Teresa's assignments and separate them out and know exactly kind of what we've been working on. It's very easy to see that Katie didn't turn in her homework on Thursday, but Teresa did, so I need to kind of, that type of thing. So because it's in a spreadsheet, it makes it much easier to actually keep track of and then give quick feedback because you can turn around and give the feedback right away from the link. All right, so spreadsheets. Scripts. Scripts are just a short little code that you can use to include in a Google app. And they allow you to customize the tools to kind of work for you a little bit better. Some that we kind of like, one is called Flubaroo. And Flubaroo is it's a self-grading quiz. You basically set up your form. The students would take their quiz, and in the spreadsheet, you insert the scripts. And actually, earlier today, I checked to see Flubaroo has come out with a version 3.0 just today. So if you go to the link that we have there, you can go in and try it with this spreadsheet, and you just make a copy of it. But I'm going to try it with the one that I have. Earlier, it was down. They had taken it out, I think, because they were updating it. But so here's my spreadsheet. My students have gone through. They've taken their little quiz, all of that. If I want to insert Flubaroo, I just go to Insert and Script. And then I get the whole script gallery. Now, earlier this didn't work, but let's see if it's there now. It's not there yet. So check it later today. The 3.0 version is really nice because it has a lot of the features that we were looking for, like things of you want to be able to make sure that all the students are not being emailed. All of the everybody's submissions are not going back out to students because you can send an email with their grade. You can send an email with feedback, and they fixed that feature where it used to send an email to everybody, even if you had an absent student come in and take the quiz. It would still send an email to everybody, so they fixed that. You can individualize the feedback. You can put in help and hint text. And all of that is attached here at that Flubaroo. If you go to their website, you can see a lot of the new features. But check it later today because it's pretty cool. Doctopus. This is a way to keep track of student progress in projects. So you put in your role in a spreadsheet, and then you're able to actually keep track of where everybody is within the spreadsheet. This is from UPD, which is a great website with all these different scripts that have been put together and are great for teachers to use. So great help videos, all of that kind of help to know exactly how it works and what they do. And then Formule is one that's an automated way of sending out information through a form, and it will automatically send out up to 3 emails to different individuals to kind of keep everybody in the same communication loop. So that's another one too, and Formule is also on that UPD site, and you can watch a little short video about that as well. All right. So sites. Sites with HTML and JavaScript applications, you can insert gadgets, which is great. So just real quick to show you how to insert to our little science site an iframe and the embed gadgets. So embedding very quickly. Just go to mine. All right. So when I go to edit on my page, so if I go to, I think I was on my, I'll go to my Energy Unit site. And when I go to my pencil up here, I can then, still loading, sorry. I'll go to insert and be able to insert numerous different gadgets. The two that I want to show, one is called iframe. Sorry, it's got a lot of videos on this page. One's called iframe, and the nice thing about iframe is you can go through and have the students just go to the website that you want to. Rather than putting the link, you can embed the website right on the page. So if I go to insert and more gadgets, and then it's the second one right here, include another web page in your site. So I click on that and just say select. And so let's say I just have to put in my URL. So maybe I want to put in NASA. I go out and find my, so nasa.gov. So I just grab my URL and include it here. Now it's probably going to be quite large. I probably should have put it in. You can change the side of it. So if I do that, let me change it to 400 by 400 so it'll fit. Okay, and if I say save, here's my NASA website right here. So I could have my form right to the side, and the students could be going through the website without actually having to go and click on anything else that's out there. You've got them right there where you want them. Being a middle school teacher, I feel like that's a really big help. The other one, and I won't demo it because we don't want to run out of time, is the embed gadget, which just allows you to embed any sort of code, grab the code off of anything, and that's the way we embedded like our Slide Rocket. That's the way we embedded our YouTube videos. So again, you just go to insert and more gadgets, and I can actually probably just drag right down. So I could go to embed gadget here, and then I can just put in my code when I do that. Okay? All right. So, Chrome App Store.
I'm going to speed things up. So the Chrome App Store, those of you who use Chrome, you know it's there. Generally, it takes you out to a different website anyway, so I'm not even going to touch on that. Chrome extensions, however, add a little extra goodie to your browser itself, and you can click on that, and there's tons of different extensions. The ones that we love, Pocket is an extension that is formerly known as Read It Later, I think. So if you go to a website and you have this extension installed, let's say I want to read this later, you click the little Pocket symbol up here in the upper right-hand corner of your browser, and it saves it to your Pocket. So then you can view anything that you want to read later. You have to have an account, but it's free. Evernote Clearly, I keep scrolling down. Evernote Clearly is another extension that when you click it, it takes away all of that extra junk that was on the side that you don't want to look at anyway. And it boils it down right to the article and makes it a lot easier to read. So that's Evernote Clearly. Fantastic to use when you're reading articles. Adblock for YouTube, I highly suggest you put this on right now. You know those stinking ads that run right before you want to watch the video? That blocks those ads. I tried it out a few times on two different computers, one with ad block, one without, and it blocks it every time. Incognito tab switch, let's say you're looking at something but you need to go incognito. That tab switch is this little dude right here, and it switches your tab to incognito. In Gmail, there are actually Gmail Labs. We're running low on time, so I'm not going to click on these. But Gmail Labs, if you go to settings and click Labs, there are a bunch of different things you can add to your Gmail itself. Canned responses is fantastic. I don't know how many other people out there say the same thing over and over and over again to different people that are emailing you. I certainly do. Canned responses allows you to set up ahead of time different responses that you use all the time. So when I say, please contact tech support and not me, I can just click a button and then it puts that in and I can send it off. I don't have to type the entire email again. Undo send is for those situations where maybe you weren't the nicest person in your email and you sent it anyway. Undo send will allow you to take it back. I think you have like 30 seconds if you have undo send. So you have to make that decision quickly. Docs and map preview, when someone sends you an address in the email, you can preview the map right in the email as well as a doc. Inbox pause is great for those of you who go on vacation and you check your email anyway. Inbox pause will pause your whole inbox so you don't even get new messages. I'm too nervous to turn that on myself. Gmail snooze is actually great for me because I'll get messages, and then there's one that I know I need to respond to, but I know it'll get pushed down and I'll forget about it. Gmail snooze, and these last two are Chrome extensions, so these you'd have to go into the links will take you there. But Gmail snooze, when you click snooze, it sends it back to you as an unread message later. At a time that you have picked. So Gmail snooze, just like an alarm clock, does a snooze.
The Google Cultural Institute used to be called the Google Art Project. And now if we just click on this first link, I can basically show pretty much everything from inside. If you go over to the left side here, the Google Art Project, it shows their featured projects of historic moments, world wonders, some great ones for cultural figures, kind of all the way through. A lot of great things here for language arts and history teachers. You can search by collection, which is nice, and with just searching right here, if I just start typing the Met, it pulls up the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I can also save things to my gallery, so I can click on this. I can still go through and zoom in on it and actually kind of really get in depth and really kind of get in, to see what's going on way back there in the back of that picture. What are those guys doing? That kind of thing. And some of these are mainly they're highly good high resolution, which is great. You can turn them and save them. So saving them, it puts them into a gallery down here. And then once you've saved them, you can click on compare and click here and click compare. You select your first item. You can click on it, drag it down there, put them up side by side, which is nice. And then you can also use the street view, which will take you right into the Metropolitan itself and show you where on the wall the picture is. So great for field trips, virtual field trips, all of that. The kids can actually walk through the museum, which is great. One to highlight is in the collections is now the White House. Mm-hmm. And the White House has Street View Google Street View went just recently to the White House to actually go through and look at, take all the pictures and everything. And there's a really cool video. If you Google it, you could find it of the guys in there with the cameras going through. It's pretty neat. Let's see. So historic moments kind of goes through a lot of great moments again in history. A lot of these are in exhibits, which is kind of cool. So what that means is basically if I click on, let's just do this one. The exhibits are set up with, it's actually like going through the exhibit in the museum, and they have images, text, videos, so tons of things to definitely take a look through there. And then World Wonders, just briefly, I won't go to it, but you can search through the World Wonders and actually take, again, that street view, that 3D view, where you can get into a lot of the World Wonders from all around the world that are very, very just amazing to see.
Okay, Chrome Web Labs is our 5 experience run by Google, the company, and they have, you can click on that and look through. We're not going to have time to do it. But they're live from the Science Museum of London. because I want to show the other ones.
Okay.
They're live from the Science Museum of London, and the three that I recommend taking a look at, Sketchbot, you use your webcam and take a picture of yourself, and then if you sign up for it, you can watch it in the Museum of London, them etch it out on a robot. A robot draws it. I'm not going to lie to you. A robot does it. Orchestra, you can play live instruments with other people, and you can see those instruments move in the Museum of London. And the teleporter is actually really cool. There's 3 different locations. One of them is a bakery, I think, in North Carolina. But they installed cameras in these locations, and so you can go there and control the camera and watch these people make rolls and stuff. So it's very cool. They're using kind of the newest technology using Chrome. The ones that Katie and I really, really love are Chrome experiments. And so we're going to demo a couple of these. GeoGuessr.
So GeoGuessr. This is a game using Google Maps Street View. So if you click on it,
This is great for those students studying geography.
Yeah, it
or
is.
even world languages.
it's really hard too. Basically, what it does is it takes you into Google Earth Street View and it just plops you somewhere, and you have to try to figure out where you are. So if I click Launch Experiment, just really quick, here's what you get. And so you have to kind of like look around, kind of see what you
language
can
the
find.
signs are in.
You know, it's pretty tough, and so then you can kind of go, I'm just going to quickly, all right, let's just say I'm there. I click Make the Guess, and it shows me how far off my guess was. And I was
Where
way
were we?
far off.
Russia.
Which is, yeah, so it gives you points based on that. So that's kind of a neat one. You can also do a challenge and play other people, which is kind of neat. Flashcards, this one's kind of fun. You have to have your mic enabled for this, but if I do, let's do addition so I don't embarrass myself. So if I go down here and click Start, I have to click Allow. So 8.
Don't say so.
8. 9. So all I'm doing, I speak to it, and then it's picking up everything that I'm saying and going through it. There you go. The nice thing about this is you can add more and create your own. So you could make your own for students to go through and do. Sorry.
That scared me.
All right.
Same kind of voice recognition, the Peanut Gallery. I love this. I'm a big fan of silent films. So the Peanut Gallery actually gives you clips. Let's say this Dino one. Action. Oh, okay. Roar. Car. Okay, so it's still kind of iffy there. Okay. There's a lot of noises, you guys. So what it does is it puts up slides for every voice, and then you can share the video that you made. There's lots of clips to look through. That's great. 100,000 stars is fantastic for those of you who use Google Earth. Same kind of technology, but it's with the interstellar neighborhood. It's beautiful. You got to have Chrome, and you have to have a fast internet connection. But you can go through and get all the way up close to the sun and go all the way out to the Milky Way and see the whole. It's got a good soundtrack, too. Cube Slam is just a game.
It is a game. It's video chat Pong, which is hilarious. So
I'm
if
gonna
we
set up
click
back
here, and I launch the experiment.
I'm joining right here.
Just a game, just for fun. So I'm going to say play a friend. And
Can you read that to me?
my friend getting it?
I can't read it. I'm sorry, my eyes bad.
Quwoep. So she puts that link in. I share it out with her. My friend is ready. So I click play my friend.
I'll turn it down. Hi. Okay. Start the game.
All right.
So it's video chat, and you can hear my audio coming through as well.
Oh, yeah. So totally just fun, but it is kind of addicting. When we were planning this, we ended up playing this a ton. So
By accident.
All right.
Webcam swiper, if you can click that one.
Yeah.
Again, this is something that it's new technology, so it's not fantastic yet, but this, I think, is the future. So it uses your webcam to turn the page for you, and you just do this. Aha! And then when I move back and forth, it also turns the page. But we're getting there.
All right.
Q&A, we have one
we
minute.
are very low on time. Basically, we'll be around afterwards. We'd love to answer any questions. If you have ideas to share, we put both forms there, then you can look and see the results and see what other people are asking or things that they're sharing. But we really appreciate you spending time with us today, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Don't forget to do the feedback for ISTE, mobile app, mobile website, conference website.